Hi, my name is Melissa van Dijk, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can use the Minimalist 2% Salicylic Acid Serum, which is a leave-on product. So once you have applied it to the skin, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. Now this serum contains 2% of salicylic acid and some additional hydrating ingredients plus antioxidants to support the overall formulation and that it isn't as harsh on the skin. Now salicylic acid helps to reduce oiliness throughout the day or nighttime. It has anti-inflammatory properties, helps to unclog pores, which is extremely beneficial if you're getting pimples here and there or if you have acne-prone skin, and it helps to smoothen textured skin because it helps to loosen the dead skin cells on the skin surface. Now overall, when using this exfoliant, it is mainly suitable if you have combination to oily skin and even acne-prone skin. However, if you have a drier skin type, then this can lead to more dryness, which then makes the skin much more uncomfortable. So therefore, if you have a drier skin type, you probably want to look into an AHA such as glycolic or lactic acid, because with those it is the opposite. It helps to increase hydration within the skin, still exfoliates the skin. So when now working with these exfoliating acids, you can theoretically use it in the morning and or evening. Although it is preferred that you're using your exfoliant in the evening so that you're going to keep it away from sun exposure, as it probably makes the skin sensitive to the sun, and your skin has throughout the night enough time to rebuild itself so it isn't as sensitive anymore during the day. Still, as long as you're following with sun protection throughout the day, it doesn't really matter if you're using it in the morning and or evening. Now before you're thinking of using this serum immediately daily in your skincare routine, I highly recommend starting off slowly so that you understand what your skin is able to tolerate. This is very individual. I'm just giving you a general guide, and then you need to test what your skin needs and what's basically the boundary of where it's going to be too much. Because if you're going to use it too often and you experience signs of sensitivity, well, this basically means that it's too much for your skin to handle, and therefore you need to slow down a bit. So to basically prevent this as much as you can from happening, I recommend starting off by using it once per day, 2 to 3 times per week. Do this for 1 or 2 weeks to see how it goes. If everything went well, you can increase it and then use it once per day every other day. If that again after 2 to 3 weeks went well, then you may want to increase it and then use it daily, once per day, or even up to twice per day daily. Again, you need to test it, so please take your time when doing so. Also, this serum won't give you like the amazing effect overnight. So with salicylic acid, you have to be patient and you have to use it regularly to see significant improvements. So I'm talking about using it at least for 2 to 3 months before you're going to judging like what it has done to you and if it is beneficial for you or if you may just want to change to something else. Now, when it comes to what an example routine will look like, as well as the conflicts and the entire application, this is now where I want to step in, going through it step by step so that you have the overall general guide in mind when setting up your skincare routine. Now for the example routines that I have prepared for you, we're going to keep it very simple. So if you want to use the salicylic acid serum throughout the day, well then here you can see the example routine. Starting off with washing your face using a regular cleanser that's suitable for your combination oily skin. I recommend using a non-exfoliating acid cleanser, especially in the beginning, to see how your skin is going to respond to salicylic acid itself. Once you have washed your face, you have rinsed it off, you're going to pat the skin dry, then move on to the application of your salicylic acid serum. Apply it to the skin, leave it on the skin, and then I highly recommend waiting 1 to 2 minutes in between so that it can fully absorb into the skin, and that you then later on layer the sunscreen on top so that no sensitivity occurs, that you're not going to mix the salicylic acid solution with your sunscreen, but overall take your time and wait for the serum to fully absorb into the skin. And then again, sun protection throughout the day is still important from the damaging UV rays. Even if you have acne-prone skin, you may have hyperpigmentation, you want to try to reduce fine lines and wrinkles. So sunscreen during the day, if you have sun exposure, is key. When it comes to the evening skincare routine, it can look pretty much the same, just without the sunscreen. So you're going to get started with washing your face. If you went ahead and you picked, for example, a sunscreen, as I already shared with you in the morning skincare routine, That sunscreen comes off quite easily, so therefore your regular cleanser can be enough to properly take it off the skin. However, if you should have worn heavy makeup, pigmented makeup, waterproof makeup, or even a mineral sunscreen, well, then you may need to change the cleanser and work with an oil or balm cleanser, and then you're going to properly break it all down before moving on to the next steps. You can theoretically use it, like do a double cleanse, but usually using the oil or balm cleanser on its own, if you can properly take it off, can already be more than enough. Again, once you're done with your cleansing step, moving on to the Salicylic Acid Serum, you're going to apply it to the skin, leave it on the skin, and then because you have already an oilier skin type, it is completely fine to use the Salicylic Acid Serum on its own. You do not need to follow with anything else afterwards. In fact, whenever I'm using the Salicylic Acid Serum, it feels like it's already enough. I do not really have the need to follow with something hydrating or moisturizer afterwards. So if that's enough for you, just stop right there. Otherwise, if you want to follow with a moisturizer, I recommend using a moisturizer that helps to rebuild and strengthen your skin barrier. So look for moisturizer that has amino acids in it, fatty acids, hyaluronic acid in it, ceramides, something that can really help you to strengthen and rebuild your skin barrier, which is to some extent able to absorb into the skin rather than sitting on the skin surface. So if you would, for example, use petrolatum jelly or like a very heavy silicone moisturizer, those usually just sit on the skin surface to seal it, but because you have already oily skin, you do not need something that's going to seal it. Your natural oil is already doing this. And so therefore just look for something lightweight that can help you to rebuild and strengthen your skin barrier. Here you can see an example. And then apply it to the skin, leave it on the skin, there's no need to wash it off. And then this would be the example for the evening skincare routine. Now, before you're thinking about, well, now including it in your skincare routine, there are certain points that I do need to emphasize when it comes to the conflicts. And I want to mix basically kind of like the ordinary guide into this as well, because I know those who are maybe now watching this video for the minimalist have also some of the ordinary products at home, at least based on my comments, that's what I can tell. Therefore, I do want to include them as well so that you have like a guide in mind. So first of all, what you should avoid is using the salicylic acid exfoliant in the same routine with, for example, the ordinary peptides. They do specifically emphasize keep them separate, otherwise you're going to lose the benefits of your peptides. Then the other point would be EUK, which first of all would apply to the ordinary EUK itself because they have such an antioxidant serum, and this would also apply to the Minimalist 10% niacinamide serum because it contains again a bit of EUK. It may or may not have an effect based on how much is being used, but overall it can completely destroy EUK, and then there you have basically no antioxidant support anymore. And then the other point would be more so a conflict part, which is primarily, first of all, exfoliating acids. So since you're already using your 2% salicylic acid exfoliant, you should avoid using it in the same routine with other exfoliating acids, leave-on products, which you can see right here. Now, this may work well in the beginning. However, the more often you're going to do this combination, the longer you're going to do this combination, you can really increase the risk of sensitivity and maybe a damaged skin barrier because it's just too much exfoliation. So I recommend just sticking to one of them, or if you want to combine it with an AHA, well then alternate between them so that you're not going to overdo it, and please keep the frequency in mind. Same would apply to exfoliating acid masks. Please do not use this serum after a strong exfoliating acid mask because again it is not needed. They usually have also a bit of salicylic acid in it, so whenever you're using the exfoliating acid mask, skip the salicylic acid exfoliating acid serum. And then the other point would be retinol, retinoids, guanactive retinoids, you name it. Usually it's more so a problem with retinols and retinoids. Guanactive retinoids tend to be a bit gentler, but still in the very beginning, please keep them in separate routines. Use them on alternate days. Use one in the morning, the other one in the evening, or just like your salicylic acid serum in the evening on Monday, your retinol, like retinoid on Tuesday, etc. because the major concern is that excessive dryness can occur, as well as sensitivity because of the cell turnover that retinoids are giving you, and then you're going to exfoliate like right away or just before, and then this may cause like much more sensitivity. Therefore, again, with when active retinoid over time, you may be able to use them together, but I do want to keep this like pointed out so that you know how you can set up your skincare routine. And then there's another point that I do want to emphasize, which would be strong vitamin C products. And I'm talking about 15% and up. Now, 15% itself may not be the issue yet, which of course again depends on your skin tolerance. But if you're going higher up in strength when it comes to ascorbic acid products like 20%, 23%, even 30%, plus they may have a low pH, then the overall formulation plays a big role as well. But when using them together, you're more likely to experience stinging and burning, because it is like both products are very acidic. The more acid you're going to put on your skin, the more likely you're going to receive sensitivity, wetness, stinging and burning. And so therefore, again, if you want to use them, keep them separate, or like overall be careful when trying this combination. Try them at first individual before thinking of using them together. This is not really an actual conflict, but I do want to emphasize it. And so there you have it when it comes to what you should not use in the same routine, as well as where you have to be careful. If you want to go over the entire examples plus the conflict part, you will find everything in the description box down below. But now I want to keep my focus on the entire application. Again, I'm going to go with my evening setup skincare routine. So we have the cleanser, Salicylic Acid Serum, and then the moisturizer afterwards. So the most important step in any skincare routine is washing your face properly. I think that this is one of the most common points where I say, well, I can wash my face, I have no issues with it. But you may be surprised how many parts of your face you're missing, or depending on the soap that you're using, or if you're using no soap at all and you're trying to remove it, how much is still left on the skin. So I highly recommend really taking your time to properly wash your face. This can already make a huge difference on how your skincare products layer afterwards, and if sensitivity or clogging or pilling occur later on. So please do not skip this step. Please do not just rush through this step. Washing your face is a key point. That's why I'm always emphasizing it and demonstrating it in my videos, because this is where I often see the mistake. Plus, using a washcloth in between does make a significant change when washing your face. You may also be surprised how much this can actually take off the skin, even though you just have removed your cleanser. So please don't forget, using a washcloth in between makes a huge difference. And so I now want to get started with the cleansing step. I'm using Cetaphil's Daily Facial Cleanser. If you're in India or somewhere else where you do not get this specific cleanser, look for the oily skin cleanser, since they do not have the same name in the different countries, but it's basically the same cleanser. It should be suitable for your combination to oily skin, ideally a cleanser that's a non-exfoliating acid cleanser. So with this one, it is advised to apply to wet skin. So you can do this above the sink or in the shower. If you can, I highly recommend doing this in the shower. It's much more convenient, but I'm not going to do the entire demonstration above the sink. So we're using lukewarm water to splash some water through the face as well as neck, and later on we are using lukewarm water to properly take it off the skin again. Just remember to work with clean hands. If your hands aren't clean, wash them at first and then start off with washing your face. So let's go ahead and do this. Then use about 1 to 2 pumps, or about a coin size amount of your cleanser. Rub your hands together and then gently massage it all over your face and neck for about 30 seconds to a minute, making sure to not get it into your eyes nor into your mouth. So once you have massaged your cleanser all over your face and neck, you now can go ahead and again rinse it off with lukewarm water by just using your hands at first to splash most of it off, and then we are going to use the washcloth in between. Take your clean washcloth and wet it. Squeeze it out. And now gently swipe it across your face and neck to take off any last traces of your cleanser, sunscreen, makeup, whatever you still may have on the skin. Now rinse again. And now go ahead and take a clean towel and gently pat all over to properly remove the remaining water drops from the skin surface. Please do not rub. So once you're done with your cleansing step, you now can immediately move on to the application of your Salicylic Acid Serum. Now, when I've tried it, I do have to say with a general guide, this can vary a bit depending on like how large your face may be, and if you just want to use it on your face or include your neck as well. So overall for the face, you can go with about 5-ish drops, like go with 3 to 5 drops to see like how far you can blend it. If it shouldn't be enough, well then go with the 5 drops. However, if you want to include your neck, well then use 2 additional drops to it. So overall, you can say in most cases it will be more likely to end up with 5 to 7 drops for face and neck. And so since this one comes in a dropper, again you can immediately apply the drops to the face or use it on your fingertips, or immediately apply the drops on the palm of your hand, rub your hands together and then do the application. Now please make sure to not get it into your eyes nor into your mouth. Please do not use it on top of your eyelids, the lower lash line and on top of your lips. So once you have applied it all over, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. Now since I'm going to follow with an evening skincare routine, if you now want to stop right here because the serum feels hydrating enough and it does the job for you, well then just go ahead and use the serum after your cleansing step, and then there you go. And you're going to leave it on the skin for now, for example, the entire night. There's no need to wash it off. You're just going to wash it off when washing your face again then the next morning. However, if you still want to follow with the moisturizer afterwards, again remember what I told you, what moisturizer to look for. And so here I have the example with the ordinary natural moisturizing factors. In general, use about a pea size to a bean size amount to evenly and thinly apply it all over your face and neck. So, and once you're done with the application, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. And then this would be the example of an evening skincare routine. However, if you want to use this serum throughout the day, then please don't forget to replace your moisturizer, if you're using one, with your sunscreen to properly protect your skin from the damaging UV rays. Now again, I want to remind you that if you want to see the example routines again in your own time, you want to follow the specific guide, plus want to see a general skincare tips guide, such as, for example, how you can properly wash your face, damp skin versus wet skin, the application waiting time, etc. I do have this for you in there as well. Same applies to sunscreen information, so that you can properly read your label based on the sunscreen that you're using. If you need it indoors, have an application and removal guide. And then lastly, you will find the product description box, which basically are all the products that I have included in my example routines, so that you have a more specific guide in mind what they can do for you and for whom they are suitable. And so you will find all that information in my PowerPoint that I have for you linked in the description box down below. Now I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you find it helpful, please don't forget to give the thumbs up as well as share it. And if you now want to learn more about skincare, you want to see the different applications, well, I'm going to leave the videos at the end of this video so that you can keep on watching. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in the next one. Happy skincaring. Bye.